I have been to multiple amusement parks, some good, some bad. I'm going to start off with the worst spot at number 17. This one isn't technically an amusement park, but it's the worst attraction with rides I've been to. The Kentucky State Fair is hosted by Kissel Entertainment in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was awful. The staff were not super nice. I even got yelled at for locking another restraint when it was obvious that nobody was in that seat, which is a safety concern if a seat is not locked, even if no one is in that seat. None of the rides were great. In fact, the best roller coaster was Orient Express, which was still a little kid coaster. Their standout coaster, Python, was unbearably painful. I went here once and will probably never go back again, as it was not a fun experience. The first true amusement park of the list is going to be Beach Bend, located in Bowling Green, Kentucky. This park wasn't awful, if I'm going to be honest. While some of the staff weren't the nicest, some of the staff were really enthusiastic and interacted with the guests a lot. This park didn't have a bad ride, just some mediocre rides. The Wild Mouse was my favorite in the park, as it had a couple really jolting airtime moments. Kentucky Rumbler was an amazing GCI Woody with relentless pacing though, but Kentucky Rumbler didn't really deliver much airtime and wasn't really what I was looking for. Beach Bend also had a good collection of unique flat rides and thrilling water slides. Number 15 is going to be Cony Island in Cincinnati. I went to this park for a camp field trip, and it was actually pretty fun. While they only had one roller coaster when I went, Python was a fun ride with a few sharp drops. Python recently got relocated to Kissel Entertainment, so I have rode it in multiple locations. Remember Kentucky State Fair from the beginning? Yeah, I rode it there. But when Python was at Cony Island, it was quite fun and quite smooth. The staff at the park weren't the most memorable, but the weird rides of the park are what made it memorable. Their water park was also really good. Now, unfortunately, the park has been permanently closed, so you cannot visit anymore, sadly. Epcot at the Disney World Resort was a pretty boring amusement park, but I was a lot younger when I went, so I couldn't really do that much at the park, and didn't really understand the culture that went along with the park. The only ride I rode there was Test Track, which was absolutely amazing, but everything else was pretty boring. I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate, but I have heard that Test Track is either permanently closing or getting renovated. Somebody let me know in the comments if that's true or not. Epcot was really pretty though. Number 13 is SeaWorld Orlando. Similar to Epcot, I was a lot younger, so I couldn't go on a lot of the major rides that SeaWorld Orlando was known for at the time. I got on Shamu Express, which is now Super Grover's Boxcar Derby, and I also got Journey to Atlantis. I remember really enjoying Shamu Express as I was a little kid, but I hated getting wet on Journey to Atlantis. I also remember some of the good theming in some of the areas of the park, especially around Journey to Atlantis. I also remember a really good show, which probably isn't at the park anymore, but SeaWorld Orlando was overall pretty fun, even though I couldn't go on the major rides. Up next is my home park of Kentucky Kingdom in Louisville, Kentucky. I know they may have some incredible rides with Storm Chaser, Lightning Run, Kentucky Flyer, Thunder Run, but the way the park is being run is not great. Herschend is trying to run it as if it's a major amusement park, even though it's not, and it makes it to where operations actually end up taking longer. And the experience is just not as good or fun as it used to be. The staff aren't the best, and most of them will staple you on the roller coasters. This being my home park, I do memorize the staff and which ones are good and which ones aren't, since I visit so often. I think I've been here like 10 times this year already. Overall, Kentucky Kingdom is a pretty good park though. Indiana Beach might be the weirdest amusement park I've been to. Like the other amusement park in Indiana, this place has 3 wooden coasters, none of which come close to the size of Holiday World's. Cornball Express is the best ride here, delivering some great airtime, and the staff were also super nice and playful, especially of Cornball. Lost Coaster of Superstition Mountain was just a weird ride. Tigger was weird, but still fun. Steel Hog and Hoosier Hurricane were not good, but the other three made up for it. The park also had a couple of dark rides as well as flat rides. The water park was also really nice. The water wasn't cold that I remember. It might have been. The water slides were really good. Again, most of the staff were really nice, especially at Cornball Express. Kicking off the top 10 is Six Flags Over Georgia. I don't care what anybody says about Six Flags. This park was actually really good. The staff were friendly and actually pretty efficient, especially with Twisted Cyclone. The park has multiple amazing roller coasters, including Twisted Cyclone, Goliath, Batman the Ride, Superman Ultimate Flight, and more. It's also the place where I rode my first sky coaster, and it was awesome. I also rode my first flying coaster, hybrid, Aero Mine Train, hyper coaster, B&M invert, Gerstlauer Eurofighter, Schwarzkopf Looper, and a lot more of my first ever rides on specific models. The park also looked pretty charming. I'm sure there were advertisements like people always say there are, but I didn't really notice them. I didn't have any negative experiences while at the park either. Hollywood Studios is the next park, and this park was pretty good, but also really busy. I did have the Fast Pass though. I ended up riding Rock and Roller Coaster 4 times, Tower of Terror twice. Rock and Roller Coaster was amazing. It was my first launch coaster, and my first time ever going down, so that ride holds good memories. I didn't even know Rock and Roller Coaster would go upside down before I rode it, so I conquered my fear of inversions without necessarily knowing that I was about to. I didn't really have a fear of inversions though. Anyways, Tower of Terror was pretty scary. The park had some pretty good shows, especially the Indiana Jones show, but then some lines were very long, especially the lines to use the bathroom. The staff of the park were really good though, and super friendly. Magic Kingdom is another Disney World park that had some amazing theming and was also super immersive. Space Mountain was my first major roller coaster, and that was extremely fun. Summer Wars Mine Train was also pretty good, and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad was a fun experience. The staff were amazing, the rides were fun, the park was pretty crowded though, but like Hollywood Studios, I did have the Fast Pass. The final Disney park we're going to talk about is Animal Kingdom, and it should be obvious at this point that it's my favorite park at the Disney World Resort. Expedition Everest was an incredible roller coaster with super elaborate theming. I ended up riding a total of 4 times, once in front, 3 times in the back, I believe. I have not been in there in like 9 years, so it's hard to remember exactly. There was also a show that we watched, and a train that we rode, giving a nice scenic tour throughout the park. There was also a rough scenic truck ride thingy or something, I forget what it's called, but definitely check out Animal Kingdom. King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia was an amusement park I didn't have too much time at, so I didn't get to do everything, but I did as much as I could, and what I did was mostly really good. The staff were super friendly, especially at Intimidator 305 and Twisted Timbers. Yes, I'm still calling it Intimidator 305, not Project 305. Anyways, Intimidator 305 was incredible. I got a painful yet super fun rain ride on it. Twisted Timbers was awesome. Everything else I did was just kind of mediocre. Flight of Fear wasn't the best, nor was Apple's Apple. Grizzly was awful. I did not like Grizzly at all. Racer 75 was just okay, but I still had a great time at the park. It did storm early on in my visit to the park, so that cleared a ton of people from the park, leaving absolutely no lines. I just lapped Twisted Timbers for the majority of the day, because there wasn't any line. Kings Island barely beats out its sister park, starting the top 5. This park has a lot of the same charm as King's Dominion, except this park seems a lot busier. The park is much bigger and is extremely close to Cincinnati. This also means you get more good quality roller coasters, such as Diamondback, Orion, Beast, Mystic Timbers, etc. The coasters of this park are amazing, and the staff at this park are a lot more efficient than most other parks on this list, and they are also super nice. I don't really have a bad thing to say about Kings Island, except they need to have drink stands where you can just go up and get water. But other than that, Kings Island is amazing. Next up on the list is Busch Gardens Williamsburg in, of course, Williamsburg, Virginia. This park is incredibly beautiful with an amazing atmosphere, some incredible roller coasters as well. When I went, my favorite was definitely Invader, though Pantheon had yet to open at the time. The train ride was also quite fun and delivered a nice view of the park while transporting people. The staff were okay, but the park definitely made up for it in the overall quality of everything. There wasn't a time at the park that I didn't enjoy other than riding Tempesto, but everything else was amazing, especially Invader, Griffin, Alpengeist. Basically everything except Tempesto. Yeah, I didn't like Tempesto. First on the podium is Dollywood, taking the bronze. With this park, we ran into some amazing staff as well as some incredibly themed and amazing roller coasters. Unfortunately, Lightning Rod was closed at the time that I visited, but the visit was still absolutely worth it. Thunderhead was an incredible wooden roller coaster, and the park also had incredible nighttime rides. Overall, Dollywood was absolutely amazing, immersing you into the park, and all of your worries just drift away. Taking silver, the number 2 park that I've been to is Cedar Point. This incredible amusement park definitely doesn't have great theming, but it makes up for it in the quality of everything else. I enjoyed almost every minute of my 4-day visit at the park. The ride operators were some of the best in the world, sending trains out super quickly, and they were super nice. My favorite ride at the park was Maverick, and the staff of Maverick were especially friendly. The night rides I got were insane, delivering some of the craziest experiences on roller coasters of my life. I also met some amazing people over there while visiting the park, and I hope to get back to Cedar Point at least sometime in the future. Now it is time for my number 1 park. It's a rather small park, but this is my absolute favorite park. With its wooden coasters, amazing staff, incredible water park, amazing cleanliness. Of course, I'm talking about Holiday World and Splash and Safari in Santa Claus, Indiana. This park may not be the biggest, but I always have such a great time at the park, and that's why it's my favorite. The Voyage is my favorite roller coaster I've ridden, giving some legendary night rides, and they are always having some incredible staff operating the Voyage. Legend is absolutely wild with its laterals. Raven is just pure fun. Thunderbird is also a lot of fun. The water park has some amazing slides and water coasters. Again, there are some amazing staff throughout the park, all of them being super friendly. There's nothing awful about Holiday World in my opinion. All of what I've said about Holiday World makes it my favorite park that I've been to. But that's about all I've got to say about my 17 favorite amusement parks. All amusement parks that I've been to. I am going to wrap up this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.